So guys, today I thought I would just go over doing your daily tasks. I know the daily tasks can be quite a hassle. It takes a bit of time to get this done, but I found one of the most quickest methods of how to just cut all the crap and just get all these daily tasks completed. That way we can just move on with our day and get more important shit done. So we're going to start off by just picking up your first classic crate. They're normally put on a 10-minute cooldown, so we're just going to pick up your first classic crate. Normally what I tend to do immediately after that is do one of the most important tasks, which is your tuna trials. I like to just get these done and completely out of the way, just so I've done one of my most important daily tasks, which is your tuna trials. So we're just going to quickly get 2 races done. It's going to be legendary races today for me, because I like to keep my parts coming through in a format where I can maintain them correctly and allocate them when need be. So we're just going to quickly do these races here. Hope you don't mind bearing with me in doing these races. Might get a little bit boring, but it is what it is in this game. So we're going to quickly knock back 2 tuna trials. It's normally the second thing I do after picking up my classic crate at the beginning of the day. So we're going to get this done, and we'll be able to move on to the next step. The reason why I do pick up the crate at first, once again, is because it's on a 10-minute cooldown. So we got a little bit of time to do a couple of objectives before we pick up the next crate. Now this video will be put into 2 different lots. I tend to only play twice a day, and sometimes 3 times a day if I'm willing to go a 3rd time in Black Ridge Rivals, but you only have to do the bare minimum, and that only requires you to use 20 fuel at most. Probably the longest endeavor would be Black Ridge Rivals and picking up your crates. So we'll eventually get through to our second sponsorship of Black Ridge Rivals in the next video. But for this, we're only going to be doing the first sponsorship, because it's normally put on a 3-hour cooldown. So we're just going to do our second race for tuna trials, and we'll just completely get this out of the way, and we can move on to the next step. Normally what I like to do after the tuna trials race would be to quickly do 2 rebuilds and install 3 or more parts, material, sorry, just so we can get 2 of our daily objectives done, just like that. Normally what I do tend to do is eventually your cars do run out of rebuilds. At some point in the game, all your cars will be maxed, or you'll be pretty much just sitting in idle, waiting to complete your next car. And so you'll need to somehow figure out a way to do your rebuilds. So I'll get on to showing you how I allocate my cars and do my rebuilds. So that's your tuna trials done, and obviously drifts just come with playing races, so that's just one easy knockoff there. Now I normally have a street car that I just let sit, and I just like to do a rebuild, 2 rebuilds. And yeah, sure, I have to install 10 parts, 10 materials to do my 2 rebuilds, but yeah, it is what it is, and materials are quite easy to get, especially if you do buy the 20k 5 classic crate deal from the crate shop. So we just get our materials, and then we just install them, blah blah blah. So we're just gonna get these all installed, do our 2 rebuilds. I do have a street car that just sits on 3-star blue parts, and I normally do this every 6 days, where I go to the scrap shop and I buy these blue street car parts, and I just allocate them all to 1 car, and I just do these 2 rebuilds as I'm showing you right now every day, just to get my dailies done. So as you can see, that's my material installs daily completed. So I just like to knock this back. So we're just gonna get these 2 rebuilds done now, and we can move on to the next step. Now the cooldown for the classic crate will probably be hitting about maybe 6 minutes at this point, so we can do a couple of underground races before we head back to the crate store, and just get our second free classic crate. So we'll just do our second rebuild here, get this out of the way. Okay, and that's that. That's another 2 done. We've done 4 in total already. It didn't take that long. Okay, so we're gonna go back to the menu. We're gonna go to campaign. Now, in campaign, I normally like to do about 4 airtime races, just so I can completely farm the airtime challenge, because I don't really like to miss out on any challenges, and as far as I know, airtime is probably the one that annoys me the most. So we're going to need to get that done. So we're going to get to it. Chapter 2, Airborne, is probably the most favorable race in terms of airtime, just because you get about 8 seconds plus, depending if you can hit the ramps correctly. So it's about 24 seconds in total that you can farm from 3 races. We're going to probably do about 2 of them, and our crate should have reset by then. So we're just going to get to it. Let's do it. Now, you can take your time with this race. There is absolutely no need to rush this at all. As long as you can hit every single ramp that you can get this done efficiently. One thing that you really want to do is make sure that you hit the ramps right, because you can get 1 second out of them generally. So that was probably not the best example there, but at least I managed to hit every ramp, which is what you really do need. I may have got 7 seconds there, but that's very much adequate. And so we can just do it again, and we can try for a better result. But we'll have to just deal with the fact that I only got 7 seconds. Okay, so we've managed to knock down 3 fuel now. And so I know it's a little annoying and it does take a little bit of time, but you do get race skips in order to complete it. So we're just going to do our second race now, and we'll just get this out of the way. It's a very easy race to do. Don't really need much PR. In fact, any beginner car can do this race. No sweat, no problem. That's why I do recommend this, because it is a very good track to play on repetitively, especially if you're in a beginner class. So we're gonna knock this back for a second time now. Sometimes you can hit that cop car and get up to 1.4 seconds if you do hit it correctly, but quite rare. Doesn't happen all the time. It's another one done. I don't really concern myself with the materials that I get from all this. It doesn't really matter what materials I do end up getting as a mystery reward. It just doesn't matter anymore, especially when you've come up to a certain amount of currency. You don't really have to care about what kind of reward you get eventually, as long as you can do your daily objective. If you do need materials or anything like that, I believe that it's so much more cheaper to just buy a 5 times classic crate for 20k. It is random, but at least you get materials of all sorts. I do unfortunately need grey parts for my rebuilds of streetcars, so I don't have like the ultimate material storage collection. I do have to set aside some space for those grey parts because I need them for my daily rebuilds. Anyways, we're just going to complete this for our 3rd time now. And by the time we complete this race, our next classic crate should be completed, and we'll be picking that up. And we know that we would have farmed just enough airtime now to maybe not necessarily enough to get the challenge, but as you get along with as you go through the game, especially in the second video when you have time to farm your next lot of airtime, and any other races, if there's any other generic materials that you would like to farm, it's always good. I'll get to the second video later on today, and I'll be able to show you how I wrap up this the dailies, and how I'm able to farm for some other materials instead of doing just airtime races. So we've done Nitro Boost, which is just another ordinary daily that comes in from just doing your average races. So there are a couple of dailies that you don't necessarily need to worry about, that just comes through as you do your dailies. So we're going to pick up our second crate now, and that's basically two birds with one stone there. Yeah, 10 minutes from each other we picked up our two crates, instead of waiting 20 minutes or anything like that. So we can get out of that. Now normally after this I go straight to Black Ridge Rivals now, and that is just to do the next lot of races. Now I've estimated that you per crate or wrap or in between, there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's about 6 little spaces before you do get to the McLaren P1. I believe that if you do about 2 daily tasks, 2 of these sponsorships per day, by the end of the season, as long as you can maintain that momentum of doing 2 a day, you should be able to get the McLaren P1 prints. But I would definitely recommend that you just do it for a 3rd time, just to cement the idea that you are going to end up getting those blueprints. It's just too important to not disregard, especially if you can just take a little bit more extra time just to get that completed. Now, I generally play untuned until all the sponsorships have been completed. I wrap up, get the P1 blueprints, then it's a good time for me to just it's a good time by that point just to get just to start playing tuned by then. I don't really like to spend gold on tuning vehicles. I just don't feel like there's a need to do all that early in the season. So we're just gonna play for fun, just get our daily tasks completed, and move on to something more important like your day. So we'll just do the first half this time. So we're only going to be doing 1 in this video of the sponsorship. So just get on to finishing this up. Oh, he's catching up. He's looking pretty sharp with that CCX. "48 seconds, that is horrible. I did have a late start, but normally I can keep it under 47. But in this case, who the hell really cares? If you're playing untuned, you don't really have to play in a competitive nature at all. So we're just gonna do our 5 races, get our daily task completed, and pick up our next daily task. And we can put this on a cooldown for our second run at this game for the day. So yeah, like I said, you only have to enter the game twice a day. You can do it either midday or in the evening, as long as you can find a time to do your second lot of daily tasks 3 hours from the first time you do it, because you don't want to watch ads and stuff and just waste time. So just gonna get these races out of the way. Win or lose, it doesn't really matter. You don't really have to win as long as they're completed, and then you can move on. And we should be able to pick up the 3rd crate by the time this is completed. So we're on our third race now. You can normally get your daily completed for your Black Ridge Rivals. You're only required to do 3 races in order to complete the daily. And you can get your 5 skips and 4 gold for doing that. But it's highly recommended that you go for all 5 and just get this out of the way. All 5 will take about 10 minutes or so, which is a perfect time for you to grab your next crate, basically. Just do this real quick. You get 10 minutes to do it really, so it doesn't matter. As long as you can try to fill it in 2 minutes, then that's fine. Some of the races can be 25 seconds, some of the races can be 40 seconds. So it doesn't really matter. I have plenty of time to get it done. It doesn't normally take 10 minutes if you manage to do them all one after another. What really does take a lot of time though is the loading screens, but that we don't really have to worry about too much. Let's get this done. Oh, now I've got to catch up. Oh no, we got the night. Oh shit! How about that? Made it just in time. Doesn't really matter though, winning or losing. I would have been happy with both, just as long as the race was done. We're gonna do our 4th race now. Oh, that's a nice boost of speed points. Can't complain with that. So that's your next objective done, and that's 6 now. But we're gonna complete it anyways. Oh, looks like we got a competitive guy. His name is Geartop, but he's got some sign language to back that up, so I'm not so sure exactly what his name is. All I know is his name is Geartop. Okay, but he looks like he's a badass, and he's gonna take a bit of effort, especially playing untuned. But in high gear rush, untuned, you're basically looking at a 24.7 second get race. It's probably like one of the best kind of races you can do is hitting 24.7. But it's no chance of winning if you're gonna challenge a tuned guy with a LaFaro, especially on this race, because this race can only really go in one direction. And that's either you play tuned and try to go for a pit stop, or you're going to get stuck in 25 seconds or 24 seconds. So yeah, that's that. That nice little casual race, and I almost hit 24 seconds there. Okay, it's a little bit different trying to race and talk at the same time. Don't really have the same level of focus, but I managed to make some really good time there. Now we're just going to knock off our final race. And after knocking this one off, I'm pretty sure that I'll probably have about, say, probably have about 2 minutes remaining for the crate. I'm hoping that this will take the full 10 minutes, but if it's under 10 minutes, it's only so much better. You want to save as much time as possible. And eventually when you're on a level where it's just routine to complete the dailies done, get your gold and just save the gold for something better in the game. You can move it on with your day and just do something different. So we're gonna rip this last race. Oh, that's not the best corner. Always excited when I make airtime from knocking a wall. That's always fun. Now, I think I just did high gear rush 3 or 4 times in a row. It's actually quite disappointing how repetitive these tracks are. It's been happening for the last couple of seasons. Kinda sucks, right? Anyways, I'm gonna pick up our first sponsorship, which is a minimal price here. Icon 3 of only 16.5k. But eventually the prize gets better, and it gets better. But we won't have to worry about that right now. So we're gonna go and pick up our crate. That's on a 3-hour cooldown now for the next sponsorship, and it's not ready. and we've got about 2 minutes. Actually it's 30 seconds. I'm actually just going to check this legendary crate out, and that's not looking very good right now. That's an underground car. You don't really want to pay gold for a car that you can freely earn your prints from. It's really just a waste of gold, and gold is an expensive thing in this game. Reason being is that there are so many ways of how you can spend your gold that for $150 you really don't get much at all. So we're just gonna wait till we get our next crate now, because there's no point in really going any further. And this basically wraps up session number 1. As you know, I did not complete my airtime challenge, but that generally comes in your second sponsorship, where you do actually end up completing the next lot of your dailies. So you have to come back for your second time, where you can use the race skips that you've earned through your Blackridge rivals here, just to skip through about 5 races, use about 10 fuel, and you can use those skips just to try to go for your allocated parts. Generally, I would recommend that you use those skips hunting for generic parts. You can use that for this gasket event. Gaskets are very important if you're around the mid-level part of the game. You require a lot of gaskets for installing materials, and this is a high chance to get either gaskets or some decent amount of cash. You can play the races if you are not lazy and you want to play the races. You can absolutely play the races, but gaskets is very, very good. It's ideal that you do get gaskets or you get batteries. Batteries is also very important too. I will probably just do an additional race just to mark off the near miss challenge, because I can get that done in one race. It's always good to just knock it off in one race. That's just some additional skips, 3 additional skips to be exact, that you can save for later on or for another day or something. But I normally like to go to chapter 8 and play brute force. You can farm up to maybe about 13 near misses in this race, and they're all relatively close to each other, and it's a very short race too, so it doesn't take long. About 20 to 25 seconds you can get this race done. You can get your near misses done, and that's just one step closer to getting 9 out of 9 and knocking off your main daily tasks. So we're just going to show you this, and this will pretty much be wrapping up our video after this race. So I do appreciate you guys watching this. If you did stuck around with me all the way to the end, I do appreciate that. It may have been a bit boring, but it's just the life of Need for Speed No Limits, I guess. There is some really repetitive, boring stuff here in this game, so you just have to deal with it, I guess. So as you can see, I probably passed about 12 cars there, and I probably only picked up about 7 near misses, or maybe even less than that. But 9 near misses. Well, how about that? So we've done our 9 near misses now. I believe that might be enough. I don't know if I got any near misses from any earlier races there. Highly doubt it. But you can always come back to just do that one again. If I did that more correctly, I would have been able to complete that task. But it really doesn't matter. You can always come back for your second time and just wrap that up in another race. So that's campaign race is basically done, but it's not over. You have to come back and do your campaign race again. But the next lot will all be completed. You will be completing the 12 races, your 9 daily assignments, your near misses, your fuel, your crates, and your airborne on the second round. So I hope you do watch the next video, and we'll be able to wrap the daily tasks up and get at least 2 sponsorships done and dusted, and we can move on with our lives. Thank you very much for watching anyways. I'll see you on the next video.